Hey, this is Reggie Ponder, the Real Critic, and this is the Real Critic Roundtable, where Black critics come to discuss, debate, and have some fun. This week, we got a great panel. Introducing, coming up, number one is Sean Edwards.
What's up, my man? What's up, my man? Congratulations on becoming an official member of the Critics' Choice Association. I told you, once they made me a board member, I was kicking the door open. It's going to stay open. We had a lot of new members join us, man.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Appreciate your support. Coming in is Katia Woods.
Hey everybody, Katya Woods, Cup of Social, Africa member, Critics' Choice member, and Alliance of Women Journalists member. Nice to be here.
And then first timer is Isha Muhammad. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Reggie. Aisha Muhammad, Black People Watch, and I'm an Africa member as well. Thank you so much.
So I have my critic for a minute, and this is Halloween weekend, and the thing I hate the most, I hate scary movies. Now, I already told this to Sean and to Katia that if we ever agree to go to a movie together, to see a scary movie, I'm talking about a scary movie particularly, they would need to socially distance, and I'm not talking about because of the pandemic, because I can't take it. I mean, I really, really can't take it. I'm not the one that you want to go to a scary movie with. I squirm, I cringe, and I even make some audible sounds. And let me tell you, and they're not like just screeches, you know. I'm saying scary movies are not for me. So if we go together to see a scary movie, I'm telling you, I will definitely grab an arm, a leg, or any limb to help me get through the movie. Now, I just want to say to filmmakers, stop it. Just stop it. Don't make any more scary movies. We have enough scary movies to last us for a lifetime. There's scary movies to go backwards for days and days. Just stop it. I'm particularly scared this year because I don't know, all of us are going to be at home, or we should be at home, and there are loads of things to watch with all these streaming services. And my family's going to ask me, let's have this ghoulish, scary, frightening night. And I'm not going to want to do that. See, I love the trick-or-treating. I love going to get the candy. I like the costumes, but I don't like the movie. I don't. And that's just my critic for a minute. Now, let's talk about our first movie. So our first movie this week is the movie His House. And this is a movie about a refugee couple who makes it to London. And it's scary in that it looks at the demons that are in their head from traveling, from making that voyage to actually seek asylum. And they have to deal with a number of things to, I guess, integrate within society. But again, it's the journey, it's the trauma, it's their past that's the haunting thing. And it is very, very scary. Now, Katia. So Katia, did you like this movie?
I did. I liked it for all the things that Sean said, but I also liked it because I've said this a couple of times. I like the fact it explored something which is us as Black people, and I don't mean like as in color, I mean as in culture, our original religions, because we were not Christians. And me coming from Brazil, a country where people in my country still practice Candomblé, Macumba, Voodoo, what it's called here. It's not shunned upon. You're not thought of as some type of devilish person. It is ingrained in our culture. New Year's Eve is a huge day in Brazil for people who practice Candomblé. So I think it was really nice to see that explored and not brought across as devilish or as, you know, in a bad way. In a way, it was also done very intelligently to show, you know, that these folks are there are a lot of things woven into this film that are very much culturally towards Black people, towards the continent, which I really, really appreciate it. You know, from a regular person, I've been like, keep the house. We're going to go back to the situation, the holding situation, and work it out there, immigration thing. But I did enjoy this a lot. And again, some of the best movies coming out this year are not from North America. And as I always say, Black people are global. And it's nice to see more of our voices at the forefront and hopefully educate people that we are not monolithic, where we have different experiences and different point of entries.
So I think, Isha, you didn't see this one, right?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, so I'll bring you in on the next one, but I will tell you, I like this too. One of the things that you talked about, Katya, before on a couple of movies that we've looked at is this whole issue of refugees not just being about the Latin community. So how they come to this country, and there's three things that stood out for me here. Is that the battle of who these people were expected to be when they got here, couldn't have a job, what they had to do, the battle of what people thought of them, meaning some of our own people say, hey, go back to Africa and you need to do that. And then the battle that they were having internally about how can they integrate and live in the society that is foreign for them, but still kind of keep their culture with the food and all of that. Sean, I will say that this scared me. I just got to telling you that I don't like scary movies.
That's scary. It's scary.
This actually scared me. So for you, Sean, you didn't use the word that you said you liked this a lot, but you didn't and you said it was one of your favorite movies of the year, but you didn't say great. So I just got to hear you say it. Go ahead, man. Just go ahead and do that. Because if it's your favorite of the year, this must be a great movie for you.
No, it's a very, 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 very good movie. It's not a great movie. It's a very, 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 very good movie. It's not, you got, you know, I once had a journalism teacher who told me, you have to save the Jesus headline for when Jesus actually comes back.
I like it. There is a new genre, this political horror.
Yes.
There's another movie that came out with Tiffany Haddish, and I want to say, I forget the name of the movie, but it was the same kind of thing. It was more spoof horror, political, but there's this new thing coming out where it's, you know, it's this political horror going on.
That's a great point. Yeah.
You can be. And the thing is, you can put things in subtly, and as this movie does, and it's giving you like the different points of views without saying these people are right, these people are right. It's presenting to you the situation from this African couples, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also what they have to endure. So I think that's also very smart, because you're not, it's seeping slowly into your brain without you feeling like, boom, 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 this is our point of view. Do you know what I mean?
And it's not a documentary. So it's not a documentary to say, hey, look and see what happened to the refugees. Yet it educates you in a way that's like, wow, there's some real trauma. There's some real stuff that happened. So people who are there for the entertainment value are probably still saying, wow, I didn't know about that. Sean, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I will say this. You were trying to get me to use the word great, and I will use the word great. Wumi Musaku is a great actress. Like, she's my favorite actress right now. I discovered her as I was watching Luther, you know, a few years ago. She was great in Lovecraft Country, and she's fantastic in this. She's my favorite actress right now. She's great.
All right, well, we're going to move on to our next film. So obviously that is a watch for all of us. You should absolutely check this one out. Katya, I'm going to ask you, since we're still talking about witches and voodoo and all that other type of stuff, we got the movie The Craft Legacy. Please tell us what this one's about and talk about it.
Ain't about nothing.
This is the remake of the original, the reinterpretation. So my generation, all of our generation, we saw the original and thought it was cool and all that. You know, God, don't we wish we had that in high school with some of the people we dealt with? But we're older now. So it's these three girls, it's four girls, and three of them are already friends, and the fourth girl moves to the area, and the three girls are all of them are witches, but the fourth girl doesn't know it until she meets the other girls. And once they get together, they realize that their powers become stronger, and then they try to utilize it to fix some wrongs, except one of them takes it a little bit too far. Not to mention is her new stepdad is also a little bit not who they think he is. Like, she knows it, but the mom, and there's something weird going on in that house, So we got that whole situation going on. It's you got bullying going on. You've got a new blended family that's a little off, to put it politely, all of it. So, and it is beautifully shot. I did like that, but just stop rebooting stuff. That's my statement for that.
So Isha, I'm going to you because I already heard Sean. Sean, I was like, what? Huh? Well, what you think about this one?
I thought the first part of it was pretty good. I thought that the dynamic between the girls was really fun and cute when they started learning their powers and figuring out that they had these powers. I thought that was really great. I thought it took a kind of like an awkward turn after the character Timmy, and I don't want to give it away, but when his character, they could have showed what happened there. I felt like David Duchovny, he fell a little flat for me this time. I thought it was not good.
Okay,
I didn't think.
So it's really interesting is that I knew that this movie wasn't for me, and I knew it wasn't for me because they weren't talking to me. But I think for girls in that area that this works, and particularly where you talk about the first part of it. I think that whole friendship, how they figuring out. I mean, they brought new meaning to Earth, Wind, and Fire by bringing some water into it. Sean is like, that's why I'm letting him go last, right? Because he's like, nah, maybe they shouldn't let me in CCA. But I didn't think it was like a terrible movie. I think it probably is right for the audience. But it didn't speak to me. Did I love it? No. Did I hate it? No. Would I recommend it? No. Sean, now I'll let you go ahead.
No, man, I'm just messing with you. No, everything you said is 100% correct. Everything Aisha said was 100% correct. The beginning was much stronger than the end. Like the whole, when they're developing the characters and their friendship and their bonding, that completely works. And then like midway through, it just went kaplunk. Like, what happened? Technically, this movie is not a remake. It's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
It's a sequel. It's actually a sequel. I don't know why, because the original was in 1996. So you're asking someone who was 15 years old in 1996 to pick up and connect to a movie like 25 years later. I mean, that seldom works. There was a lot here. They just didn't do a lot with it. Like, I can see what they were trying to do and where they were trying to go, but, execution is key. They had all the right elements. The start and the setup was great. The casting was terrific. I mean, yeah, it's shot well. It better be. It's 2020. Mm-hmm. Every movie should look good. I mean, we're making movies with iPhones, so,
Yeah, I like points for that. I like the point that you made because I actually wrote this as well. Because I thought it was the cast was good. I thought
those girls were great.
The girls were great.
It's good, but the thing is, you can't even. This had some of the elements of the original. So technically, not just I'm talking about the girls, but some of the stepdad things. I don't want to give it away. Somebody didn't see the original. I saw this with my daughter on purpose because like you said, I knew it wasn't for me. It ain't for 50-year-old people. It ain't for 30-year-old people. This is for the high school tween to early college kids. That's who they're making this for. That's who they're marketing for, as they should. And she thought it was like cute with the girls too. She liked that. She liked the fashion. She understood the bullying aspect of it. And she was like, yeah, that is true. But like, the other issue I have with this film is, and again, I don't want to give it away like Aisha, is the whole situation involving Timmy. I thought that was handled a little irresponsibly. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we know better, so we should do better in terms of that. What are we saying about that whole situation that needed to be tightened up and clarified a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't. It was very loosey-goosey, and I'm sure we'll have somebody who understands.
Yeah.
No, but it's not okay though, because again, we know
okay.
better.
They said they relied on a typical.
Yeah, but
trope.
it's still. I was like, and I mean, I was able to figure out what was going on. Also, David Duchovny, you're too good of an actor to be this bad in a film. Like, he was the weakest link in this film.
Oh, he was. Go ahead, Isha.
He had COVID.
He must have.
He had COVID.
You know, it was. I really felt that I liked the different images of the girls, and they were different ethnicities, and also there were
body shapes.
Body positive girl, and I loved all of those elements. And it could have been really, really great because their dynamic, the girls, was fantastic, and you didn't necessarily have to see the first one to understand this movie.
Exactly.
It started off really, really strong. And again, when I was screening it, I was like, oh, maybe this is something I could watch with, give it to my girls. They're 12 and 10, but it's a little bit of language in it that's a little strong for, the younger girls. But, it definitely has some good points that they could have touched upon. I think they really dropped the ball halfway through. They really missed the opportunity to make it a really good film for that age group that you were talking about, Reggie and Katia.
Yeah, so I'm gonna drop the ball and say we're gonna move on to the next one. I think that this, for me, I'm not recommending it, but I could see folks in that area, and it doesn't seem like the panel is recommending this one. Sean's shaking his head.
I didn't like the first one.
Yeah.
The first one was fire. The first one was cool.
We're not going there.
It's a cult classic. The first one is a cult classic for young girls everywhere. And especially, we got to also remember, there was a black girl in it. Like, we didn't get those images. So we were like, I'm in there just for the sister. I don't care if nothing else works in that. And it's a huge cult following. So, the first one was good.
It is a huge cult following. So we're gonna.
Donald Trump has a cult following too.
We're not gonna go with we're not gonna go with the cult.
That you brought that man into the conversation.
We're not gonna go with the cult. We're gonna go. It is
Halloween.
It is Halloween. So it's a holiday of sorts. So
it is a huge holiday.
And so we're gonna talk about. Sean is gonna talk about this because
what?
We're gonna talk about Holidate. Now, let me just say something before Sean says anything. So guys, we make the list every week about what movies we're going to see. And Sean sends me this thing saying, what about Holidate? I say, all right. And it didn't make the list. Dude his company must do this one because he's like, what about Holidate? So he going to tell us about Holidate. What about Holidate, man?
Holidate's going to be the most watched movie we talk about on this show today. That's why we're talking about, because we want people to
before November. But go ahead.
We want people to watch this. This is going to be in the top 10 most watched movies on Netflix. It is a Netflix movie. Here's the thing that's really cool about this setup. This movie, it's basically a girly romantic comedy with a dude mentality. And as dumb and trite and vapid as the movie is, it accidentally has a lot of truths about people out here dating and trying to figure out what's going on with their relationship situation by accident. I know it's unintended. I mean, because this is one of those weird old-fashioned rom-coms. They found a low-rent Chris Hemsworth. They found a low-rent Julia Roberts, who just happens to be Julia Roberts' niece. I mean, they're making it work on a budget, and yeah, it's dumb. And both of these guys are, they're gorgeous, they're pretty, they're sexy, but they have relationship problems. So they're like, look, if you can't find nobody and I can't find nobody, we just hang out on each holiday. A lot of people have been in that situation where you're just trying to find somebody to connect with just for the holiday, whether it's St. Patrick's Day, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July. A lot of people have been in that situation. And you know what this is? It's a cinematic Diet Coke.
All right, so this is what I say. Isha, I want you to come in here, but I have to say, I wrote before we even did this, the words on my paper. Come on, Sean, stop it. Stop it. I wrote it. It's right here. We know what's going to happen. Two people.
I said it's trite, stupid, and vapid, and accidentally works.
Well, you know what? I'm a hopeless romantic and I love a holiday movie. So this would be something I would watch anyway and just enjoy because I just like the warm and fuzzies that movie like this gives. And so, you know, I'm a girly girl at heart, you know, and I like movies like this. However, of course, it was cliche. We know how it's going to end. They even joked about it during the movie.
They joked about it.
Yeah, so it's like, listen, we know what it is. It's our fix. It's our holiday fix. We want it. Give it to us. I enjoyed it. I laughed a little bit. And, you know, I would give it to people who are like me, who don't care. We know how it's going to end and we don't care about that.
Katya, help me. Please help me.
Personal issue with anything that gets holiday-like, Christmas-like before November 1st. That's just a personal gripe of mine. Like, can we have our holidays in order? Like, how are you releasing a holiday movie and we haven't even had Halloween? Like,
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, in a
Lifetime
technicality, I'm like, I wanted us to have a Halloween show, but here we have a freaking holiday movie during Halloween weekend. But neither here nor there. And the movie, it is what it is. Like, it's just like, it's one of those things, you paid for the subscription, you're gonna hit. But if you had to pay for it, you wouldn't watch it. So to me, it's like all those people that love Christmas in July, all the people that love the Lifetime, the Hallmark movies, that's their niche. It's like Sean said, it's funny, you have moments and you totally figure out within the first 15 minutes what's gonna happen. And you get it, but as per usual in these movies, the people who are the best and the most interesting are not the leads, are the supporting cast. They're the ones who made this movie fun for me. The interfering mom, that aunt that's loosey-goosey, the brother, and his, you know, all of these other people. The scene at the department store, they're the ones who made this movie move in the right direction for me. Again, the two leads are like, whatever. I mean, you could have just put two other people in there and they could have said the same words and it would have, two other good looking people, they could have said the same words and it would have been the same type of movie. But again, I mean, you paid for the Netflix subscription, you're at home, or you should be, might as well hit play.
So it's really interesting because while this, again, wasn't for me, I know for a fact, and I hate to say this on tape too, Sean, you're right. People gonna be watching this, man.
Yeah, the Hallmark Lifetime holiday movie.
I hate to even say that, so I'm gonna edit that a little later. But people are gonna watch this. I know in my household, this movie will be on, and I'm gonna walk by and be like, "No, I'm not sitting down with y'all to watch this." But this people, and it might be watched more than once. So this is one of those movies. I don't like Diet Coke, but I know Diet Coke is gonna be in the house.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're not mad about this movie because this movie plagiarized your entire industry. It's nothing but a series of 30-second commercials.
Yeah, absolutely. But they did a good job with what they did here because Isha, I think you're right. You're like, hey, I'm looking for these kind of movies. I actually agree. I also agree with you, Katya. I don't want to see them before a certain point, but it's getting more and more and more. Black Friday sales are happening today. You know, so everybody.
We have our holidays. Like Halloween
it's done. It's done. No more holidays.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to get in the mood to see a holiday film, and I'm like, we haven't even had Turkey Day. Like, can we have? Like, I have my pumpkins out. I want to, you know, and I love Christmas. I really do, but it's like you're like, no. Wait, give me another 2 weeks.
Y'all might as well give up on that. Lifetime, Hallmark, BET, everybody, they done already unrolled several of these.
They have.
Stop this. You can't
they
stop
have gone
IV in the arm of bad movies.
Yes, yeah.
Bad holiday movies.
But from a business standpoint, you're going to see a whole lot more of these because under the new norm of what we're going to look like post-pandemic, these $1 million, $2 million budget movies are going to be the norm. So get ready for a lot more of these.
Yeah, I want to move on to our last movie. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but Katya wanted us to look at, to go back and look at Halloween. And I'm actually really glad that you asked us to do that. For me, I'm gonna start this one off. If people don't know what this one is about, this is the Michael Myers story. There's so many of them that by now you should know. And for me, going back and watching this film, was almost laughable for me. I know everybody thinks that Carpenter is a genius. Maybe back then he was, because I loved this movie. But I am so glad that you had me watch. I was not scared, not one bit. I was laughing because when you leaving the knife and you staying in the room, you sending the kids out. I mean, all the stuff that happened in this movie was so laughable to me that I didn't even think that the stupid white girls would do that. You know, it was, I'm like, John, really? But back then, for me, this was the joint. I mean, I probably watched this like 15 times, but it didn't do it for me. I see my boy sitting back in the chair, so I'm gonna let you get a hit on it. Go ahead.
No, I mean, the original Halloween is definitely a classic. The original Halloween actually reignited the independent film movement. Actually, that's what it's, gets credit for. In terms of all-time best horror movies, it never really ranked high on my list because a lot of other movies of that era were better executed and a lot more frightening. I mean, I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, scarier by far, and it doesn't have anything on The Exorcist, but it's a good nostalgia. It's good to go back and you get that nostalgic feel. But yeah, I never really thought the original Halloween was that scary, but it's fun to watch.
Cool. Kati, I'm gonna say you for last because you the one that wanted us to watch this. So Isha, what's your thoughts?
It was great to go back and watch this movie. And like you said, at the time when I was young and watching this, I was scared to death. It really, looking back now, it had left more of a memory. It kind of destroyed my memory of it.
Me
because
too.
she's like sending the kids out and she's saying, go run into, I'm like, run with them. Like, why would you stand there? And he gets up every time. It's just like, the lady's in a car and he jumps on top of the car and she just stays inside. And it was ridiculous. But at the time, I don't think there was much like that at the time. And you were talking about, Sean, some of the older movies that were more frightening, like American Werewolf of London. I mean, and all those movies from back then, now if you see them, they're laughable almost.
Go ahead, Kati, because you made me watch it and destroy my memory.
Series. I love it for all the reasons that you guys said. I love the cheesiness. I love Mike in the jumpsuit with the knife, and he walking like strolling, and everybody's running, but yet he somehow catches everybody, even though he's strolling. Jamie Lee Curtis. How can you not talk about her? This is the movie that really launched her career and really put her out there. She is the original, scream teen, horror queen, along with Carrie and all of that. Hello. It is such, I love watching Halloween, during Halloween, at the movies, with my people, talking that crap and being like, it's such a fun thing. You don't watch this film to be scared. You watch it because it's a nostalgia movie. It's kiki. It's ha-ha. We all have, as Sean said, we all have our Diet Coke. We all have our junk food. This is mine. And I feel like if we're going to do Halloween, we have to talk about either Friday the 13th. We have to talk about Halloween. We have to talk about Texas Chainsaw. We have to talk about The Exorcist. To this day, that movie scares me. And I know Linda Blair is alive and well and grown and normal, but something about her gives me the creeps. You know what I mean? And so all of these things is what makes this holiday fun. So I'm like, you're not watching this because you want to have some deep discussion. Gather the kids, put that on, and hide your knives.
Well, you helped me out because you said we don't want to have a deep discussion. We're gonna end this discussion because I'm not watching Halloween ever again.
It's a classic, but it is a certified
classic. Again.
Classic.
I love when little Michael was a little kid and he had that big huge knife and he goes, I'm gonna keep this.
But what happened when they made the latest one though? Aisha, what happened when they made the latest one, right? Like suckers, we all went and saw it. And we're sitting there and the scene where we're like, we finally gonna find out.
Wait a minute, Kati.
What Mike looks like, right, as a grown man, and we're like, at least I leaned in, and I was like, and that horror, as cheesy as it, but the whole frightening feeling and the whole thing, and I just love all of that, and I'm a big sucker for that. And again, this is what these movies are made for us to commune, for us to talk. Now we probably would have a Twitter party and be like, oh my God, do you see him? Can you believe she did that? So that's the beauty, and that's why I said,
I can't take it.
talk about it.
I
It shows
can't
the
take it.
evolution of horror. It really does.
You all are right. It's a classic, but
It's a classic.
I'm gonna say this. Stop it. All right, we're gonna move into our next segment, and this segment is where we talk about some issues that are happening in the industry, and we got some issues. Hopefully, we get through all of them. I mean, we got like 15 issues, but we'll see what happens here.
So, it's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. The first one we're going to talk about is the fact that the movie Respect moved, and Sean, talk about that.
Yeah, Respect is the Aretha Franklin biopic starring Academy Award winner Jennifer Hudson. This movie's had more release dates than man, I can't even keep track. Yeah, a lot of these release dates are due to the pandemic. Unfortunately, Respect's release dates are due to the pandemic and the fact that this movie's being released by broke MGM. If this movie were perhaps on a different studio, it would have a better chance of actually being released. But MGM has 2 titles on their slate that they have to have be successful, which is this Respect movie and the new James Bond movie. And they don't even retain 100% of the rights on either one of those films. So they have to desperately find a window when people will start going back to the movie theater because they have to make front-end theatrical money at all. The one big thing that moving this movie did from January 15th to August the 13th is, despite the fact that the eligibility for the Academy Awards has been extended, this leaves a big gaping hole in the Best Actress category and unfortunately takes a woman of color out of the race due to no fault of her own. So hopefully Jennifer can compete next year, but it makes that category a little thinner and makes the overall chance of a person of color being nominated in the acting category less.
Yeah, Katya.
Yeah, Sean's right. MJ is broke. That's why, I mean, I don't know how true it is. The rumors are that they may be selling No Time to Die for an exuberant amount. And you know, the rumors are allegedly that it might be the catalog to Apple Plus. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it's who knows until the ink is dry and there's a formal announcement. But yeah, MGM has problems. So they're looking at that calendar. And also I think in terms of like being able to campaign, it's not just getting nominated, you still got to have money to campaign. So all of those things play into sight. So they have to make an economic decision. And I'm sure the movie's fire. I'm sure Jennifer is amazing. And but it has happened. Movies that come out in August getting nominated, you just got to keep the pressure on. It's a little harder because, you know, we have microwave brains. But hopefully, you know, the word will get out there and she'll be in the running, as Sean said, next year. But it's, yeah, that studio, they don't have 15 movies. These 2 are it.
Asia?
Well, to speak on to what Sean said, you know, I think the days of us sitting in the movies side by side like that are over. You know, that's not going to happen. And a lot of movies are holding out on release dates because they feel that, you know, maybe one day we'll go back to going to the movies the same way. I don't see that happening for years. You know, their best bet is to sell it, like, you know, sell it to Netflix or sell it to Amazon or one of the highest bidders and just, you know, wash your hands with it and, you know, just take the highest bid that you can on it, because that's not going to happen anytime soon.
It's really interesting that you guys say that. I hope that you guys are right, that it's not going to happen anytime soon for people to go back to the theaters. But just some of the stuff that I'm feeling, just the fact that half of the world would vote for somebody else and go out there with no mask on and do what they do when they do it. Just the fact that I know in my community, there's people who are saying, look, I'm just tired of being in, so I'm gonna do what I'm doing. I just don't, I hope you guys are right. I just think that people are gonna return back to the theater, and I think it's gonna be a big mistake. Moving on to the next one. Kantia, Tyler Perry, people have always talked about him writing his own stuff, not getting some new writers, but he just came out and said, hey, I'm open to letting some people come in and maybe do a little something for me. What's your thoughts about that?
It's about time. 20 years we've gotten one voice. You know, and again, there's so many things I love about Tyler Perry that I think are to be admired and to be respected. I need us to understand two truths can exist. I love the fact that he made a lane. I love the fact that he brought industry to a predominantly Black city, and that he forced them to come to him. What he did with that studio, what he did. I also like the fact that he revived the careers of a lot of our Black actresses that Holly wasn't hiring. Felicia Rashad, Cicely Tyson, and the list goes on and on. And so I do like that about him. He does champion those women. However, I need him and I need men, period, to understand. You will never write, you will never present our point of view as Black women better than we will. It's not going to happen. I don't care how well intentioned it is. I don't care how many Black women you have in your life. I don't really care what you've done. You know what I mean? The point is, it is insulting to me as a woman to hear him say, well, these are to be defined about it. And I get it, because when you're getting constantly told that you suck and that you're this and you're that, you're going to get defensive, because that's human nature. But at the same time, you have some good women in your life that are smart, people like Oprah, people like Ava DuVernay, and even women, like I said, Felicia Rashad and Cicely Tyson. I cannot imagine him sitting at the table with them, saying this, and them sitting there like, oh, you right. It just doesn't, my brain does not comprehend that.
So you really welcome the fact.
It's needed, because you look at a show like Sisters, which is supposed to be about women and for women, and I dislike all of these women. I definitely dislike the men. And I'm like, I keep saying to myself, what would happen if we had, kind of like with Girlfriends, a women's writer's room? What would happen if we had women writing this dialogue? Because these women are silly. And I'm not mad at the actresses, because you got to pay your bills. But that is a perfect example of why you need some women, because this show is not for us. It can't be.
All right, Isha.
I agree with Katia. I also think that, with this old saying of master of none, when you have
Jack of all trade, master of none.
Thank you. Jack of all trade, master of none. And when people, laymen and just regular people are poking holes through your movies, and they can see the holes, and they can see, production is not great, it's time for you to focus on one thing. And, you can create a collective genius. To me, in the past, what that says is that he wanted 100% control over everything that he put out. And that's good to a certain extent, but you have to know when something is bigger than you. And at this point, Tyler Perry, Forbes just named him a billionaire, so he is a billionaire now. It's bigger than you at this point. Bring in some creative people who can make that collective genius and keep you at the top. So I think that was a smart move on his part. Definitely very smart move for him.
Yeah, Sean, I'm gonna let you have the last word, so I'm gonna jump in here. I think that it's actually smart on his part as well. There's so many stories to tell, and so he'll be able to, he has the ability to tell those stories, and he has the weight. I mean, he can just say, hey, write something, and he can produce it and put it out there. So the fact that he does have the distribution channel, the production channel, the everything, I think is very smart for him to be able to do that. And I think it's going to benefit for Black folks and Black voices. Sean.
Number one, Tyler Perry is the man. I'm giving him all his props. Number two, Tyler Perry is a better businessman than he is a filmmaker. Number three, I don't believe anything until he actually does it. And number four, it's not going to make a difference who he hires, because he can hire people who still fall under his philosophy. He's got to hire people and give them creative control, or else it means nothing. So, you can hire 1,000 people to work on 1,000 different shows, but if they still fall under your same philosophy, there will be no improvement. So he's got to be able to hire people and hire some people that he may have some creative differences with and some disagreements with, and let them do their thing, or else it doesn't mean a single solitary thing. So this is definitely a wait and see situation.
You know what, Sean? I'm really, really happy that you said that, because hiring folks and hiring the same kind of people, when you talk about culture, so if you got a culture for your company and you're hiring people that fit the culture, then the voices won't change. So I think that that's a very important point. And if the voices don't change, what we're going to do is what we do here, is we're going to hold those people accountable as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
We'll hold them accountable as well. Moving on to our next one is that there's this, I'm going to go with you again, Katya, on this one, is that Chandra Rhimes left Disney because they snubbed her for all-inclusive pass at the Disney park. Really?
I mean, I don't know. Until you hear from her, I'm a firm believer you need to hear both sides of the story. That might have been the cherry on top, along with a whole bunch of other things. That might have been the camel that broke the back, you know, where she said, okay, this is really ridiculous. Or it also might have been one of those things where they took care of other executives that weren't Black, you know what I mean, and were men, and they gave them an all-inclusive. And she was like, well, if we're supposed to be, and especially her, she brought ABC back. She brought back, you know, the stuff that NBC is doing with the One Chicago. She started that again. Do you know what I mean? So if she wanted some passes, Disney, she's making money for you. Give her the freaking passes. But I definitely don't think that was the reason. I think it was the last piece to it. And on top of that, you know, it's just, again, I think it is a domino effect. I don't necessarily think, you know, she's not a silly woman. Hey, you're not giving me a pass. I'm out of here. I'm taking my situation. I know.
But see, this is what I think. Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna. It's, if nothing else, because none of us here know the details.
Exactly.
Very few people do. But if nothing else, it's a great Hollywood story. And my thing is, if Chandra Rhimes had picked up the phone or sent the text saying, I want to have the entire Disneyland theme park to myself, they should have gave it to her. Like, are you for real? Just give it to her.
You literally raised the dead.
Like, just give it to her.
Grey's Anatomy been on for 800 years? Like, come on.
I was just saying, whether it's true or not, this is a scandal if you ever seen one.
Yeah,
but see, when I read this, I felt that I can identify. At a certain point, you're like, oh, this is a small thing, but you can't give me this small thing. You know what?
You know your worth. You know
I'm out of here. Even though you might be mad at me, I know we don't know the details, but even though you might be mad at me, this is a small thing I'm asking for.
Man, they should have gave her
for this small thing.
Right. They should have gave her the park and let her be Mickey Mouse.
And she made it possible for these things to continue to happen. So she, in essence, it's not really free because she helped pay for it.
They should have had someone open every door as she walked through. Just,
exactly.
You know, a character.
What was it? Like, they should have like Coming to America. They should have been throwing.
They gave Mike the freaking park. Why can't she have the park?
Yeah, you know.
Michael was working for CBS at the time.
Exactly.
So there we go. All right, moving on to our next one. This is for you, Issa. Kenya Barris is going to direct the Richard Pryor biopic.
Is it supposed to be funny? I don't know. When I think of Kenya Barris, I think of Girls Trip, and I think of those feel good, funny type movies. I don't look at him yet as, you know, a serious type of guy or someone who can do. Richard Pryor for me is personal because I grew up on Richard Pryor, and, you know, I love him, and I knew his story after he finally came out and told everybody really everything that was going on with him in his entire life. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if he can pull it off.
Okay, well, I got Sean shaking his head. Go ahead.
Man, this news just distressed me. Woo! Because this whole Richard Pryor biopic situation has been like a 20-year ongoing. Like, there's been this director, this screenwriter, this actor, this director, this screenwriter, this actor. There've been bigger and better names involved in the past. They haven't made it happen. This is one of those tricky, slippery slope figures in history and in the industry that, you know what? I hate to say this, we might actually be better off if we never see a Richard Pryor biopic. I just don't. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, this is a tricky one. I don't know if Kenya Barris is the one to write it or direct it or produce it. I mean, if I was in Vegas, I'm betting against it.
Yeah. So you said this, Isha, about Richard Pryor being personal. I think Richard Pryor is personal to everybody. I really understand where Sean comes from by saying
It's definitely important.
it might not be able to be made because everybody is going to be looking at this with such critical eyes. Because if I don't see this and I don't see that, I mean, Richard Pryor, when you say personal, he touched us all in a different kind of way. And the way you have to make this come alive and make this feel real and put this on the screen, it in itself is a tricky thing.
Well, the thing that scares me each time there's an announcement about a possible Richard Pryor biopic, it is always under the guise of a feature film. I think his legacy deserves at least a 4-part series. Like, I don't think you can do all of what Richard Pryor brought to the table in 2 hours or 3 hours. I think it needs to be expanded. That's where I get concerned. Why isn't this being, touted as a mini series, as a feature? That's because you got to edit out too much.
Great.
It's
Great
a
point.
tough thing.
There was
Go ahead, Aisha.
I'm sorry. There was JoJo Dancer. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember JoJo Dancer.
JoJo Dancer for me was genius. I mean, I thought it was really, really good. And you have to people are going to compare it to that movie. And I agree with you, Sean, that if you're going to do it, make it a series, make it, because his life was so complex. There were so many different, he changed and he evolved so much throughout his life. You can't wrap it up in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I mean, there was a documentary, was it 2 years ago, that premiered at South by Southwest about Richard Pryor, and I thought that was lacking a lot, especially the Black perspective, and I was very whitewashed. I agree with Sean. Make this like a 5-6 mini series. The thing with this is it's going to be complex because, number one, you're going to need a super tight script. You're going to need actors with rage because, like a lot of comedians, he's got a lot of dark part and people love him. But I'm like, if you're going to do it, tell the truth. You got to tell the dark side, the abusive side, the drug addict side, and because also at the end of the day, he owned all those parts of himself. Yes. You know what I mean? Also, the narrative that has been put out there, and nothing against Jennifer Pryor. I don't know the woman. I did interview her once. She has been controlling this narrative. And I feel like, and there, you need to also involve the point of view from his kids, because again, we got to tell a complete stories. And the other thing is, we've had some bios lately about our people that have been no bueno, because we have not told complete, honest, truthful stories. We went for entertainment clicks. And what happens is exactly what Sean said. I think that's another reason why he's concerned, another reason why I'm concerned, because we've seen some of these bios and we're like, done by Black people, and we're like, So I think he has to be, if he gets someone to help him with the script, he gets some people around him to make up for his weaknesses, an actor that is fire, this might work, but you need all these other moving pieces. But again, go make that take that to Netflix. He's got a deal. Make a limited series, 5 or 6 episodes, and don't write the script by yourself.
Yeah.
Bring a really good script writer.
Well, the problem I have with Kenyon Barris is he seems to be evolving backward. Since Blackish, he's going back. We don't really want to give this project to a filmmaker who seems to be going backward. I mean,
this will be his
Grownish was less effective than Blackish, and then Black AF was less effective than Grownish.
I mean, the shows work, and again, Grownish is not for us. It's for my daughters. And you know what I mean? And they like it. That's when, again, we don't like it, but those kids love that.
Well,
and again, I mean, if it's I understand if it's a passion project for him, but again, you got to be smart enough to understand where your weaknesses are. What Aisha said. That's where the problem comes in. Is he going to be smart enough to understand is these areas over here are not my strength, and I need to get some people with me that can make up so we put together a good project.
Yeah, you guys, I was hopeful until you guys started talking. Anyway, I have 2 more topics that I want to get through before we get out of here. So the first one is Native American family drama. Ava DuVernay and Bird Running Water is set for NBC. I'll go with you, Sean. Thoughts?
No, applause. But the same thing that we talked about with Tyler Perry is slowly becoming a concern with Ava. And she does a lot, man. I need her to just focus in on one thing and make it great.
Okay.
I agree with that, because here's the thing is, first of all, we should be embarrassed in 2020 to still be saying first. Embarrassed. Like on the one hand, yeah, we have a native, but why did it take so long? What I do like that Ava does is, unfortunately, you need an Ava DuVernay to walk these projects in and get them done. That's what Ava does a little bit better. And I think Ava will fall back and let the Native Americans tell the story, but she'll use her weight, just like she did with Philip Human, making sure that his film got the coverage by walking him through the door, by sitting there and making sure these interviews get done right. And when they try to pivot it to her, she pivoted back to him. That is a strength that she does better than other people. But the fact that we, with all these streaming channels, all these channels, A&E, blah, 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 Geography, blah, 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 we just now are getting a Native American anything?
Yeah, that's really
shame
sad.
on us.
Isha.
I'm here for it. I would watch it. I'm definitely interested in seeing what a life in a day is like for a Native American family. I think Ava DuVernay is genius, in my opinion. I just love her. And I think, like Katia said, she is willing to relinquish control a bit to people that she trusts. And I believe she is the face that can open the door for certain people. So, I'm going to watch it.
Me too.
I think that that's my hope is that she will defer to Bird Running Water as the experts and the experts there, because if you don't, then this will not come off well. But I'm not kind of excited. I am really excited about this. I think each one of you guys said about time. I'm talking about time. So this is our last topic for today, even though I got like 4 more things on the list. But I'm just gonna go with this last one. Saturday Night Live political skit on the debate. Did you guys think that they got the right actors for all those parts?
No, SNL needs to be canceled. You can't out-top what's actually happening in the real life political landscape. You can't do something different. You can't outdo it. You can't be more funny. You can't be more surreal. You can't be more outrageous. You can't be more crazy than the real thing. It's just, you can't do it. You just can't do it.
I hear you, Sean, but I'm gonna push back and say you can't not do it. You cannot have somebody fall in the puddle and not do something about the person falling in the puddle. It's like,
well, be more creative. Just don't do a reenactment, because you're not going to beat the craziness of the actual debate. You gotta come up with something else that pertains to the debate. But to do a blow by blow reenactment is not going to be better than what we just watched. It's not going to be crazier. It's not going to be more disturbing.
Issa.
There's nothing more disturbing, dude. The funniest joke on SNL was the most correct joke during the Weekend Update, where we are literally deciding between 2 men, and we've had 3 presidents who were younger than these 2 men at the time they got elected back in 1992 and 2000.
Now that's
insane.
That is funny. Issa.
I'm going to have to agree with Sean. I don't think SNL is funny. However, I love Jim Carrey as Joe Biden. I mean, just the look in itself, he really embodies him, is so great. That in itself is funny to me, but the writers are not so great. The jokes fall flat every time. And I want to like SNL. I want to love it again, but they don't give me anything.
All right, last
Diet Coke, baby. It's Diet Coke.
Last word to you on this.
Sean, I disagree with Sean. Absolutely not cancel SNL. I do think that I love that Maya Rudolph is back there on there. There are certain parts, Weekend Update. I love the 2 guys that play the Trump boys. Hilarious, especially the guy that plays Eric Trump and how they display him. I loved when they came out and did the Village People. Thank God for Keenan. There's definitely some people on there that are stronger than others. Do you know what I mean? But SNL is needed. We need people to say how stupid and ridiculous we are as a country at times. You know what I mean? And it is really, I do think that it needs to be a little tightened. Although I love Jim Carrey, I'm not too sure he's the best Joe Biden. I kind of like Woody a little bit better. But again, there are certain moments in it where you do look forward to like I said, I look forward to Weekend Update, and I'm like, I hope that the Trump boys, Black Jeopardy is everything. You know what I mean? Even the skit that they did last week on Africa, I immediately got what they were doing. It was just even more funny because Adele broke character, and I so love Adele. But I think also we have to remember it is one of the few places still that gives that type of comedy a home. You know, I grew up on SCTV and Fridays and this, and these shows, you know, we're losing that, and we need a place once in a while to say, when something happens, there are a whole bunch of us that go, I can't wait to see this on SNL.
All right, so we have to wrap it up, but maybe what will work for Sean is to get rid of Lauren Michaels, and maybe let somebody else come in and run that. But
that's the third thing I would do. The first thing I would do is shorten it to an hour because then it forces them to make it tighter. The second thing I would do was like just completely get new writers, then get rid of.
No, the hour and a half has, because we have there's the musical act. The musical act takes up a good portion of the show, and also that's the other thing is SNL has broken so many artists. Who else is giving you Radiohead? Who else is giving you? You also got to remember a lot of these bands that first appeared on there. That was their first big television appearance. You know what I mean? Adele said it 9 years ago. It was SNL that introduced her to an American audience. So that's why it's also long. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's the other thing. An artist, when you get booked on there, that changes your career.
All right. Well, that's our book.
Back to the original question. The skit was a dud.
The
cold open was a dud.
That's our book for the day. We're gonna book in it. Hey, this is the Real Critic Roundtable, and we come where Black critics come to debate, discuss, and have some fun.
And drink Diet Coke.
And not drink Diet Coke. And we
are
out. We'll see you next time.
Peace.